Hey taxpayers, Tiffany Gonzalez CPA here with a tax-focused video discussing penalties by the IRS. Every year I'm asked, what penalties can I be subject to? And the answer always is, it depends. Which penalties are you talking about? In the US, there are penalties for filing your tax return late. And how much those penalties are depend on when you finally filed those taxes and how much you owed when you finally filed those taxes. The most common penalty is the late filing penalty. This is when you don't submit your tax paperwork on time. The late filing penalty is 5% per month or part of month that you filed late, up to 25%. And it's based on the tax due. So let me explain further here. The tax deadline is usually April 15th. If you file a valid extension, you have until October 15th. So as long as you filed a valid extension and you filed before October 15th, you're not late with this late filing penalty. It's if you miss a deadline without a valid extension or the extended deadline that you're then subject to this penalty. The second part of that is that the penalty is based off of what is due. So let's say you file your tax return late, but you're due a refund. Well, guess what? There is no late filing penalty because you don't owe an amount. You have a refund. So you only have the late filing penalty if you're a taxpayer that typically owes or will owe when you file the tax return. Separately, there's a late payment penalty. So you've got two things going on here. You've got the fact that you need to file the tax return, and you've got the fact that you need to pay the tax due. Now, most people think that if they file an extension, they're good until October 15th. No, wrong. If you owe tax or will owe tax, you still have to pay by April 15th. There is no extension for paying your tax after April 15th. So what is the late payment penalty? It is 0.5% per month or part of month up until 25%. Then there is the failure to pay penalty. So you've already paid a penalty for filing late. Now you've got a failure to pay penalty, which is in addition to paying late, if you don't pay your tax in full, the IRS continues to charge you a 0.5% penalty until your taxes are paid in full. This is also 0.5% up to a maximum of 25%. So for those taxpayers that decide to go on an IRS installment payment plan, they are paying failure to pay penalties embedded within their installment plan because they have not yet paid their taxes in full. And last but not least, on any penalty, you can experience interest charges. That's right, the IRS acts just like a bank, and if you don't pay them on time, they charge interest. Interest charges can be applied to any one of the penalties that have been mentioned here. Now, so far in this video, I've talked about the individual tax return penalties, but there are also penalties for filing an S-Corp late. There are penalties for filing a partnership LLC late, and those penalties are completely different. In fact, those penalties are charged per partner in the business per month up to a maximum of 12 months. Those penalties can really add up because they have nothing to do with tax due. So they're not a percentage of tax due. Instead, they're a flat rate depending on how many partners you have and how late it's filed. Now, sometimes penalties can be removed, but I would not hang your hat on this. You really need to show reasonable cause about why you incurred the penalty. Think something major, like someone passed away in the family, a serious medical condition supported by a doctor's note. The best thing to do is just to file on time and just pay on time, right? All of these penalties can be avoided by just following the rules. As a CPA, it really pains me when I see a client having to pay these types of penalties because they could have done something to avoid it. We hope that this video sheds some light on what those penalties might be so that you can avoid them in the future as well. Hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Accounting to Scale. Until the next video, your favorite CPA, Tiffany Gonzalez.